baby, that is beautiful. 36 yards.
And give me some trickeration that time.
First down, 11. Fields takes the snap out of the gun, looks upfield, throws the ball upfield. It's intercepted. Picked off by Shaq Barrett at the 1. He's in for a touchdown. Touchdown, Tampa Bay.
Daniel Jones takes the snap. 5-step deep drop, steps up, runs, and sacked at the 43. Dennis Gardeck.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Backseat Huddle podcast, episode 60. Today, I have got a couple of predictions from the week 3 games for you. This week's slate of games actually aren't very good. There's not a whole lot of exciting matchup, but there are a couple of them. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a preview and my thoughts on some of the games this week that have interesting storylines. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to start with the Chargers versus the Vikings. This is the most exciting battle of 0-2 teams I can remember. But I also don't pay attention to 0-2 teams like that. So it's really probably not saying much. But this is my pick for game of the week. At this point, ESPN has this game as basically a pick 'em, and that's exactly how I feel. In my heart, I want to pick the Chargers, but I've decided I'll never feel confident picking the Chargers again for the rest of my fucking life because they're the Chargers, which means I'll have to pick the Vikings. And that's almost as bad as picking the Chargers. So what the fuck do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick the Chargers and I'm going to regret it. Because I'm picking them, they're going to lose and make me look like a fool. Such is the universe. I'm going to pick the Chargers because I think their defense at least has significantly better pieces than the Vikings. I don't think they use them exceptionally well, but when it comes down to it, I can see more good players in more places on the Chargers roster. So they'll be my pick, and I hate it. I was going to hate it no matter who I had to pick. I had to pick someone in this game with zero confidence. So I'm picking Chargers 34-31. Falcons versus Lions. This is a measuring stick game for the Falcons. Based on how this game goes, I think we'll be able to tell what the Falcons are because I don't believe anyone really knows yet. And here's what I mean by that. They're 2-0, but I don't feel that provides much clarity of where they're at or who they are. Are they still in the beginning to middle stages of their rebuild? Are they just a talented team breaking in young pieces that's going to have kind of an up and down season? Are they close to turning the corner? Have they already turned the corner into a legitimate team? We don't really know. Back-to-back victories versus first-year starting quarterbacks doesn't really give us that kind of insight. I think this game will tell us a lot about the Falcons based on how they play, regardless of the outcome. If they play the Lions close or win, we'll know what stage they're in. If they lose, but show flashes and keep it really close, we'll know that they're a young team that's still learning to win. If they lose but never really feels close, we know that they're a team that just has some maturation to do. And perhaps it provides some clarity about Desmond Ridder being the guy or not. In regards to the game itself, I'm taking the Lions because they have significantly more experience and I believe more in their roster and specifically their quarterback than I do for Atlanta. Jared Goff has as many playoff starts as Desmond Ridder has total starts. To add on to that, the Lions are also at home, and Ford Field was loud as hell last week when the Seahawks came to town, and I can see that happening again and having an effect on Desmond Ridder's ability to operate. So for that, I like the Lions quite a bit. I'm taking the Lions 31-24. Buffalo Bills versus Washington Commanders. Talk about a measuring stick game if you're the Commanders. After that fantastic comeback last week against the Broncos, Washington is one of the few 2-0 teams left in the NFL right now. I mean, they outscored the Broncos 32-12 down the stretch, so maybe they're actually good, but they're also the same team that went down 21-3. So who knows? I mean, they've at least got talent on offense. Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel are definitely one of the more underrated combinations at wideout in the NFL. And Brian Robinson is at least consistent and typically makes at least one splash play per game. But then you have to look at the quarterback. The Buffalo Bills enter this game as a 6.5-point favorite, according to ESPN, and that has to be the reason. Sam Howell hold on to the ball too long at times. So does Josh Allen, but at least Josh Allen is a proven commodity at this point. So based on the quarterback alone, I'm going to take the Bills 28-21 without a ton of conviction. Buccaneers versus Eagles. Apparently, this is the weekend of measuring stick games because here's another one. Buccaneers enter this game with a mostly unexpected 2-0 start. They've been one of the really fun stories of this early season with Baker Mayfield and his resurgence down to Tampa. I know a lot of us, I expect them to go 1-1. I know a lot of us didn't expect them to start the season out like this, and they're playing well. However, this is a really tough matchup for Tampa. The Buccaneers offensive line gave up quite a few pressures to the Chicago Bears defense that couldn't come anywhere near Jordan Love in week 1 in the opener. And Philadelphia's defensive front is way better than the Bears is. That smells like trouble. The Buccaneers spent their offseason shuffling around their offensive line, where they moved their right tackle to left tackle, their left guard to right tackle, and now they have a rookie playing in at left guard, and their Pro Bowl center was out for the year before the season even started, so they're playing a backup center. And that's the unit that has to play against the Eagles, who had 70 sacks a season ago. That feels like a mismatch, and it feels like it could be the deciding factor in this game in a big way. To add on to that, the Buccaneers offensively have only scored 20 points in back-to-back weeks against the Vikings and the Bears, who each own one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And we know for a fact that the Philadelphia defense is way better than both of those teams. So that feels like another check mark for the Eagles in this game. So unfortunately, I could see this being a fairly easy Eagles victory despite the Tampa Bay fun story we've had. I'll take Philadelphia 27-17. And lastly, I'm going to finish up with Rams versus Bengals. Rams versus Bengals is an interesting matchup because the Bengals have the more talented roster, but the Rams have the better coaching. So which one is going to be more important? It's really easy to look at this Bengals roster, especially on the offensive side, and see that they've got some dudes. And then they've got underrated players on the defensive side like Trey Hendrickson. So it's a wonder why they're starting 0-2 in back-to-back season. It's because the play calling sucks. Then look at the Rams and see it's kind of Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, an extremely productive rookie wide receiver, and then just a bunch of dudes getting coached the hell up. There is definitely a difference in these two rosters. But this looks like an 0-3 start for the Bengals for me. The Rams look quite a bit more polished, quite a bit more buttoned up than the Bengals do right now, even if you throw out that week 1 disaster for the Bengals. One thing I can assure you in this game is we're going to see a lot of quick passes Monday night because both of these teams, that's the foundation that their entire offense is based around. Both of these quarterbacks are going to be getting the ball out extremely quickly, on time, and expect a lot of short throws Monday night. I really want to look back at the Super Bowl from 2 years ago and use this as an example to compare these two teams because I feel like the Bengals core is more or less the same, but the Rams just feel completely different. The Rams definitely don't feel as talented as they were 2 seasons ago, but here I am still picking them to win this game, and it's primarily because that Bengals team we saw 2 years ago in the Super Bowl was playing so much better than the one we're seeing right now. I think this is going to be a really close game. I'm picking the Rams in a tight one, 28-27. So that's it. That is my show today. Feel free to like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, feel free to hit me with the follow. Give me the 5-star rating. Take off car mode, and it's in the top left corner of the channel's page. All right, take care, everybody.